Well, welcome to Krav Life.
Thank
Uh,
you.
can you tell our guests, like our viewers, how did you get started in Krav Maga?
Well, it was a long walk to Krav Maga. I started my martial arts training in Russia.
Hmm.
I was 7 years old at the time. Did wrestling, uh, did some sambo, combat sambo.
Nice.
I did karate, did taekwondo, and hand-to-hand combat. That's probably closest of my roots to Krav Maga. And then when I came to United States, my main style at that time was taekwondo. I was a competitor. I was doing Olympic style taekwondo, so I was competing a lot. Eventually, in 1999, I opened up my school, and I felt that taekwondo is great. It's a great sport. It's a great martial art. If it's taught properly, but it was still missing a lot of elements of more realistic approach to street defense.
Hmm.
Weapons, knives, sticks, ground fighting. It was not. It just never was a part or focus of Taekwondo program. And something that I did study in Russia with the hand-to-hand combat, it was very basic in comparison to Krav Maga. Krav Maga is much more well developed, in my opinion. So first, I got introduced by a friend of mine to Alan Cohen system.
Hmm.
He would travel to United States. He would hold seminars. He would train instructors, and that's how I started.
Okay.
And then eventually, in one of the training seminars, I got introduced to my good friend from Korea now. His name is Eric Koo, and he runs a system in Korea which is called Cool Krav Maga or Korea Krav Maga.
Okay.
It was more of a mix of a traditional Krav Maga with martial arts that they use or system that they use for special forces in Korea. Eric is a special forces instructor. He was in special forces for 12 years, one of the top professionals in Korea. He's more like a celebrity at this point.
Nice.
So started training with him, and the best system I've ever worked with, the best martial artist that I've ever worked with. His team. I went to Korea. I trained there. Just very solid, very progressive system.
Okay. Um, so how old were you when you moved from Russia?
That was 16.
You were 16. Okay. So
Yeah.
so you're old enough to kind of be able to compare systems and training by that point. Um, what was it like specifically about the Krav Maga that attracted you to it?
Well, there is it's nothing but realistic approach to any situation. No forms, no unnecessary techniques. Everything is directed to street confrontation, and I like the fact that it wasn't just the fight itself. It was a pre-fight approach and a post-fight approach. It was the way we teach in KKM is it's about survival. It's not just the fight itself. It's not just somebody grabs you what to do or somebody puts a gun to your head, how to avoid those situations, how to deal with them afterwards. No traditional martial arts, no other system really deals with that.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree because there's so much that goes on in the body chemically and psychologically that a lot of the martial arts don't really prepare us for. Um,
Correct.
so, do you find because you studied two different systems of Krav then?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you find that they're both? I don't know. Let's see what I'm trying to say. Kind of like, what are the differences between them? Like, is the old system, like, does it focus more on certain aspects, or the newer system? Because if one's developed by special forces, they might have a different focus, right?
Yes and no. I think I really didn't have a problem with Alan Cohen's program. I think he's a phenomenal martial artist. I think he's a phenomenal Krav Maga instructor. I remember when I first, it was funny, when we first went to his seminar with his instructor training program, he's got a thick accent. And one of the guys that was standing next to me, he's like, "Do you understand what he's talking about?" Because the English, I guess, he has a strong French accent. And I said, "I know exactly what he's talking about. I know every word." It's just like my instructor in Russia. I understood him 100%. It was like I walked back home. Great instructor. It wasn't him in particular. It was maybe the way the program was ran, the certification courses, maybe some of the instructors that I just didn't feel it wasn't a fit for me. I've tried different system. I've tried more of a traditional system, and I took training with them as well. I felt very outdated. I felt they were very outdated. A lot of techniques, just with the increase with the MMA and UFC and jiu-jitsu and everything that's going on now, Filipino martial arts that's blown up the knife fighting circuit. They were just not up to the part. With the Korean Krav Maga, because every single technique. So the way it's done now, we take a technique that we practice and we teach to our students, and we test it on soldiers. We test it in the mud, in the rain, sweaty, with the jacket on, jacket off, with the military equipment on, and we test it over and over and over, and we see if it works with the different soldiers, different sizes, male, female. It has to work, because if I'm going to teach it to a general public, you cannot predict, is it this person going to wear a jacket, or is it hot outside, or is it cold, or maybe you were thrown in the water, in the mud. Technique has to work. And a lot of techniques that were pretty, made sense, didn't work because of those aspects. So KKM kind of took a step forward because we have that unique ability to test stuff on special forces, soldiers, and different. Now it's taught to military police, to Navy SEALs, all aspects. In Korea, it's huge. Here in the United States, I'm the only one so far.
Okay. Yeah, it's honestly, I'd never heard of Korean Krav Maga, so
Well, no, you did.
But I'm definitely going to research it. It'll be interesting. I'm always fascinated to find out the different developments in different areas, because everything impacts the development of Krav Maga, just like you're saying, right? So testing on soldiers, making sure wearing, does it work on wearing jackets? Because like Korea's got a completely different climate from Israel, right? So what could be trained in Israel may not be suitable for Korea, right? Which might not be suitable for where you are. You're like in New Jersey, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So it might not be okay for New Jersey or in Russia, right? So I think that's one of the things I like about Krav Maga is the adaptability and how it changes from region to region, simply because of the way we test it.
Yes.
Do you make modifications to the system for your area?
The only modifications that we make is really, we make a very very strict distinction between techniques that could be applied by civilians, law enforcement, or military. We make it very, very, very separate because of the legal consequences, and really for the reason of that Krav Maga is taught. If it's for law enforcement, obviously, it's not just about survival. It's about retaining your opponent, holding them down, handcuffing, so on and so forth, getting them in the car. For military, it's to kill your opponent, and for civilians, it's to survive.
Right.
So that's the point. That's the distinction that we make. Really, no other distinctions. We always say, in my opinion, however, many people come to Krav Maga already with some kind of previous experience. I have boxers, I have jiu-jitsu guys that work out with us, traditional martial arts, karate, taekwondo, so on and so forth. We don't limit them on using their techniques, like their special skills that they have. We only enhance that. We guide it in a way, but if somebody is a good wrestler, why should we restrict them? I mean, besides not ending up on the ground, preferably, but it's not restricted in that sense.
Okay. And how, so if you're adapting your Krav Maga to the experience that the student already has, how has your Krav Maga adapted to your past experience? Right.
Well, so no, definitely. See, I do believe that many Krav Maga styles that are taught right now, they're very limited because guys that come to that particular facility, they don't have any previous experience. Krav Maga traditional Krav Maga really doesn't spend a lot of times on basics. I'm breaking down the technique.
Right.
I'm teaching the footwork, really extensive footwork. A lot of the instructors that I've met, they're very strong, they're very aggressive. They have sloppy techniques. They don't have the hip work, the proper footwork. They really don't know how to shift the body weight, but they're strong and aggressive. The way we change things in KKM, we really spent a lot of times on basics, on breaking down the foundation, how to punch properly. I worked out with guys with very high-ranking Krav Maga practitioners, not from my style, from other styles. And the moment they would demonstrate something, it's like, wait a second, you're punching wrong. You don't know how to punch. You're going to break your knuckles because the punch is not like this. The punch is, where's the camera? Is like this. Yeah. You're going to break your hand. A lot of it comes from lack of combat training, sparring. And a lot of guys don't spar or don't have any experience. They teach, they're decent at their teaching, but they've really never been in a fight. So they really don't know. They've never been hit. So they really don't know. I fought for many years. I still do. Yes, it's sport. Yes, it's different, but it's still the style that I did before was a full contact. So I've been hit and I've hit, and I know how to take a hit. So when I train my students, I want them to have experience with that. Now, that doesn't mean that I beat on them or, it's done in safe environment, but I don't believe with any skill set, if you've never been hit or you don't know how to hit, I think it's pretty, that's about it.
Yeah.
We call it cute.
I agree with you completely. I think sparring is an important element, and if you've never sparred, then I think that does reduce your chances of effectively defending yourself when the time comes, right? Because you have to know how to transfer energy and power into the other person, right? Otherwise,
the only problem with sparring that now we have limitations. Can gouge the eyes, can hit to the groin, can strike to the throat. So that's the only downsides to sparring, that you really can't use those techniques. But other than that, I think it's a must.
Yes, I completely agree with you. What does the KKM, like, do you teach civilians about guns and shooting, gun defense? Like, how much emphasis in the curriculum is there on weapons?
We go by levels. So at certain
Okay.
levels, all my students have to work on that. It's not so some systems they start teaching weapon retention and threat defenses pretty much at the white belt level. We do it later. Less chance of you being attacked with a gun than let's say with a punch or with a knife or just simply being grabbed. So we teach gun defense a little bit later.
Hmm. Now, is New Jersey a concealed carry state? Like, are you allowed to carry in New
No,
Jersey? No.
no.
Okay. All right. So do you find that there's more knife attacks? Is that a more prevalent thing than guns?
Well, more people killed with knives than with guns, just
Yeah. Yeah.
as a
Just in
matter
general.
of fact.
Mhm.
We do spend a lot of times with knives.
Right.
A lot of times with the knives. Very KKM has very progressive knife working with knife.
Hmm.
It's probably I worked out with Filipino with the Kali masters, and I think it's great, but I think it's slightly different for what we need it for. So I like it. It's for me.
Yeah.
I'm not kicking anybody down. To each their own. But for me, after working, I've been in martial arts for 38 years.
Hmm.
So after seeing different masters, different systems, when I that's why I'm part of KKM,
Yeah.
because I 100% believe in it. Based on my experience, based on my martial arts life, I think it's the best system. Just like
Yeah.
somebody else from a different system would say that theirs is the best.
Of
To each
course.
their own.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
respect that.
Yeah. I've seen some videos of the I think it was actually in Korea. Their special forces doing knife work, and it looked really cool. So
That's probably work of Eric Koo. If you saw it on a ship, on a big battleship,
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
that's him.
Oh wow. Neat.
Yeah,
Yeah, it looked really cool.
yeah.
But yeah, that type of knife defense isn't, or that type of knife work isn't practical for the average person, even though it's cool to learn. Um, what like if you were to teach, uh, like let's say you had someone come in and you had maybe a week to teach them how to defend themselves at the most basic level, what sort of thing would you teach them? Like, what would be your emphasis for them? Like, if you could teach them like
A
one thing
week.
a week, that's it.
Talk their way out of it. That's pretty much within a
Yeah.
week. That's it. I would just tell them how to talk their way out of it. I wouldn't even imagine teaching somebody and giving them real skill within a week. We do we do have some seminars. I run seminars all the time. I go to big companies. I get invited to run self-defense training. I just had a huge seminar for girls going away to college. I
Hmm.
had like 40 people showed up in my studio. I had to teach them within 2 hours how to defend themselves. Told them right off the bat, the best thing you can do is talk your way out of it. Show them some safety things that they can do, like not making dumb choices when it comes to their personal security. But within a week, I don't think so.
Yeah, but even then, the whole being able to talk your way out of it—that's probably the best skill that anyone could learn anyway, right? To keep yourself safe. Right. So we all like to think we'd be Bruce Lee out there and beating up 50 guys, but the reality is completely different.
Well,
Um,
with that, what happens with that? A lot of instructors give their students a false sense of security,
mhm.
where they don't have enough combat experience, where they, only did it practicing with one another, even with the aggression drills and the stress drills. It's still not enough. And a lot of people walk around thinking that they really can defend themselves. They can't. And a regular thug or street fighter, kid with an attitude, will take them down. So that's why in KKM we say it's about survival, not taking the chances. If somebody's attacking me, wants my car, I'm gonna give them my car. If they want my wallet, I'm gonna give them. Not even gonna take a chance. For what? The guy
Yeah.
might stab me, I die over a car. And that's what I tell my students. Anybody who I come in contact with, I just give it to them. You'll cancel your credit cards, you'll get another iPhone, but taking a chance and jumping and trying to fight off somebody with a gun or even worse with a knife, not worth the risk.
Yeah.
So when I teach those techniques, the guns, the knives, I say this is your last resort.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of people tend to forget, right? That by the time you're doing the actual self-defense, a lot of things went wrong up to there,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Well, because many people think it's not cool, it's not macho, it's not tough.
Mhm.
I don't care about that stuff. I want my students to survive. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. What's cool is being able to go home, right, and not.
Well, we're talking about let's get back there for a second. We're talking about civilian approach.
Yeah,
When it comes to military approach, it's
yeah,
everything goes to destroy your opponent.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Military and police have different
goals.
yeah, duties, right? So
Correct.
the duty of the police officer is he can't leave the situation. The
Right.
military officer has to do as they're told.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, I was referring to civilians, right?
Right.
Now, how is the situation there in New Jersey? Like, do you find that violence is sort of on the increase in your area, or is it staying the same? Is it mellowing out? Because I've talked to different instructors in different areas, and there are some areas that are seeing a significant increase in daily violence and daily incidents like that.
Not in the area where I have my studios. There
Hmm.
is really no increase in violence, but I have huge increase in the people's interest in Krav Maga. Every day, 2 to 3 people, phone calls, emails,
Hmm.
trials, a lot of people coming. They don't feel
What,
safe anymore.
why do you think that is?
Well, news, they're watching the news, they get nervous. Um, a lot of, I mentioned the kids going away to college. There's like 40 girls that showed up at my school. Um, their parents are nervous. They never thought about it as they were growing up. They did, other sports or, dancing, cheerleading. They never thought that they will come. Maybe they thought about it, but they didn't prepare their kids. And these kids going to go away to college, I really hope nothing happens to them, but they're not ready. If from what I saw, it would be tough.
Hmm.
So a lot of private lessons, a lot of work right now, which I'm happy to do.
Yeah. So were you shut down at all during COVID? Like, how was your state? Did you guys
Yeah,
do a full shutdown?
yeah. New Jersey is kind of tough. It's kind of like New York and California. Um, we were shut down. We shifted to Zoom. We did
Hmm.
our best that we could with Zoom, but it's really, really tough. So
Hmm.
the moment we were allowed to open up, we were doing outdoors. We shifted outdoors. The moment we could go in a limited capacity indoors, we did that like on the same day.
Yeah.
And classes are booming right now. So
All right. And and do you have like instructors that work for you as well, or do you do all your own classes?
I like to teach. Well, I have 2 studios, so I rotate between the 2 studios.
Hmm.
But if I'm there, I'm teaching the class.
Nice.
So every day I'm on so 6 days a week,
Hmm.
I'm teaching a class.
Teaching somewhere. Nice.
Yeah.
Keeps you busy, right, and out of trouble.
Um, I have great team. I have
Yeah.
great team of instructors that's been with me for a very long time. They're pros. But if I'm there, I want to teach.
Right. Cool. Um, and do you teach Krav Maga all ages? Like, do you do children, or is it just adults?
No, I don't do children.
No. So
16
the
and up.
16. Oh, so you don't have a kids program at all?
Honestly, although I've been asked to do it many times. Like demand for it is definitely out there, but I will lose out on the business. But I will. How do you teach a 7-year-old to hold a gun to another 7-year-old head and how to defend from that?
Mhm.
It's wrong, and not just, yeah, morally just wrong. You can't.
Mhm.
Or I know instructor that teaches kids how to snap each other's necks. Little kids, they do a neck snap. You can't. And if you're not teaching that, you're not teaching Krav Maga. So you have to um, don't call it Krav Maga then
Mhm.
if you're gonna teach kids. But once again, that's my belief within
Yeah.
our system. And different system, you know.
Well, fair enough. So, do you think one day you'll teach like one of your other styles, like Taekwondo or something like that, to
No,
kids?
I have my schools are full-time Taekwondo schools,
Oh, okay.
which I run Krav Maga for adults on top of that.
Okay. So you've
So
got you've got like a Taekwondo program, and then you do a Krav Maga program in line with it as well. Oh, okay, cool.
correct.
All right. Um, well, that's awesome. So how many you said you have two schools.
Two schools.
Do you have any plans to expand to more schools or?
What we'd like to do is to expand KKM. I found a perfect combination where it's a Taekwondo school. Taekwondo doesn't have adult programs anymore. Very few schools have very few, the adults not interested in Taekwondo or in karate as much as they used to.
Right.
The focus has shifted to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's where you're gonna find most adults, but they're on strike. Or you have Muay Thai schools that gotten fairly big as well. Taekwondo, for various reasons, it's just not as appealing to adults as it once was. I remember teaching classes with 90 adults,
Wow.
taking 30 at the time and rotating them. And that was in the 90s. Now, no. I think we found the perfect combination where it's a Taekwondo school or, karate school or whatever, and you have for adults Krav Maga program. So we did try to run instructor training programs and have instructors educated with the program. We provide support, we provide trainings for them,
Mhm.
but COVID kind of stopped everything. So
Yeah, COVID stopped
we're
everything.
back to square one with that
Or-
one. Yep.
So, are you the director for the KKM in the United States, or
I guess you can say that.
you can say that? All right. So, if anyone was interested in finding out more information about the KKM, how would they go about doing that?
You can contact me directly.
Okay.
You can either call my school number, which is 908-359-0441. Shoot me email info.tkdelite.com.
Okay.
That's probably the best way.
All right. We'll post that information as well underneath the interview.
Thank you.
Well, in case anyone wants to train with you, and if anyone is kind of in the area, where would they look you up? Like, where's your schools exactly?
So I have one in Hillsborough, New Jersey, and my other studio in North Brunswick, New Jersey.
Okay. And what is that near? Is that like closer to Philadelphia, or is that closer to New York, or?
One is by Princeton and another one by New Brunswick.
New Brunswick.
North Brunswick, that whole area,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice. All right, sir. Well, I've enjoyed talking to you today.
Thank you, sir.
As some interesting stuff. I did not know that there was even such a thing as Korean Krav Maga. I'm definitely going to do more research into that, and I find it fascinating.
Go on YouTube.
A
Go
YouTube,
on YouTube,
definitely.
type in KKM Krav Maga. Very exciting channel.
Yeah, I just love how Krav Maga is evolving, right? Changing and evolving and not becoming stagnant like a lot of traditional martial arts do. They kind
Yes,
of
sir.
they kind of stop and then go, no, this is the way. We only do it this way, and nothing changes. And it's evolving, right?
Yes, sir.
And it evolves with men like you that are willing to accept that there might be a better way to do something, right? And then you test it, you do it, and if it works, that's what you do, right?
Yes, sir.
So I think that's the beauty in it. And I want to encourage you to keep up your good work, and I really hope that Korean Krav Maga takes off for you here in the U.S. All right. So
Okay.
maybe we'll talk again sometime, and if I'm ever in that area, because I have family in New Jersey, so maybe if I'm ever visiting them, I will pop by, say hi.
Come and train with us.
Oh, I'd love to. Some of that definitely what you were talking about with you got to test it. You take the technique, you test it. Wearing a jacket, not wearing a jacket, outside, inside, and all over the place. That just sounds like fun, right?
Yeah.
Because you get to do that. I like training outside, right? Training in the mud and in the snow and all that. That just adds an element that you don't get inside the studio, right?
Absolutely.
So I love it. All right, sir. Thank you very much. You have yourself a great day, and best of luck to you.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.